Welcome to Knightline, the morning after, on ESPN 580 Orlando, WDBO. Night Nation's only call-in show goes live now.
All right, hello, Night Nation. This is Andrew Phegley coming to you from the VictoryCasinoCruises.com studios here at ESPN 580 Orlando. Joining me this week is Roger.
A.K.A. Night Bingo.
Yep. That is it. That's it right there. All right, so Andrew and Friends episode again this week, but that's all good. Hey, we're going to take your calls at 844-225-5580, 844-225-5580 on the Dever Team line, or we'll take your text at 21232 on the Little Greek Fresh Grill text line. Also joining us is Sam. Sam, hello. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, fellas?
Good.
One question: why is it Night Bengal? I don't understand. It's very confusing.
It's really not when you think about it. No, just kidding. Basically, it's a combination of my two favorite football teams, right? So you've got the UCF Knights, so that's the first half, and then unfortunately, I was saddled with the Cincinnati Bengals at a very early age.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I always wondered that, to be honest with you, and I actually was going to ask that. So thank you, Sam. I appreciate that.
My bad for jumping the gun.
No, it's all good. It's all good. All right, so we have a road win to talk about today, which is something a little bit rare for us this season. Yes, we went to FAU, but that was a quasi home game with all the the UCF loyal that went down there, Night Nation that went down there. But this was a true road win, I believe, in the state of Pennsylvania, which is even better.
Well, I'll say that, but if you looked at the fan shots, I mean, it was almost like a home game for us as well. And I certainly heard that UCF Knights at the end of the game.
Yeah, there was not too many people there, for one. The faithful for the Temple Owls did not come out. Maybe it wasn't dark enough. I don't know. I'm not sure what happened there, but 63-21 over Temple. So this is obviously what we talk about on this show, so let's talk about it. The questions that I want to ask for the callers, for sure, 844-225-5580 or text us 21232. Finally, a true win. How big was this? This was a big, big deal. Number one, we got a lot of things done, and we played differently than we have in the past, this season at least. So lots of great stats that we're going to talk about. And was this a complete game? These are the questions that I want people to call in and talk to us about, but we can discuss them as well. So, Roger?
How big is this? I think it's huge. It's truly, for me, the next evolution in our season and transition overall. We've had several pieces leaving next year. And what you saw in this game is we saw several people step up to the plate, right? So Marlon Williams got a lot of playing time. Gilliard did a great job defensively. Otis was out there, 205 yards. I think it proves that we have some serious depth, and we have great morale boost to the team. This is the first time we scored 63 points on the road since 2010, which is a huge deal. Feel like it's great for the team's confidence, and especially those that stepped up when our starters went down. We needed that mojo again in the latter half of the season. I feel like this is the first step we needed to get to the next level for the rest of the games. In prior years, our guys never really felt that they were out of it, and there was a switch that turned on in their heads when we got behind. And when you have two losses like that on the road, that can get in your head. So I feel like this was a big confidence booster and really validates that belief in themselves.
Absolutely. All right. Well, big things, definitely. Sam, you have anything to add to that as far as how big was this for UCF to pull it off and do it the way that they did?
Yeah, it was definitely the hardest game on the schedule for the rest of the year. I think USF is obviously not really good at all this year. Tulane on the road is a little scary, but this was obviously the biggest test left on the schedule, and we went in there and we dominated. I'm excited that UCF has a chance to run the table for the rest of the season. I'm a little worried that they're going to get too high on themselves after a big win like this, and when it comes to a close game, because the only two close games we've had this year, we've lost. So that's a little scary for me, because when you go to New Orleans and you go play Tulane on the road, that some voodoo could happen. It could be a close game, and I don't know how this team is going to respond in a close game environment against on the road, tested again, because every time we've been on the road and we've been tested, we've fallen short. I don't know if beating Temple on the road is going to help that in the future if that does come up.
Yeah, that's good. That works. Yeah, I think it's huge just to get the motivation back for everybody, to see not only the players, the staff, but the fans as well. And I looked and looked for a thing that we're starting to do a little bit on both on the podcast and this show. We're going to do a thing called Twittiot of the Week. And I looked and looked for somebody saying something completely stupid, and I really couldn't find, a lot of that. So we'll get to that later for sure. I do have somebody. So we'll talk about that later. Big gaudy numbers for people, and the biggest one that stood out to me, of course, was that Otis Anderson running 205 yards. That's good on 17 carries for him, his longest being 54, but he was averaging 12.1. That's a heck of a game in the backfield, and that's not all as far as that goes. Everybody knows that we're loaded at running back, but we're, missing a couple of guys, and we're going to be missing another guy, as far as I know. Adrian Killens, we're not sure what's going on with him as of this point. It looked to me like he had a dislocated shoulder, and we'll see how that turns out in the next couple of weeks, but that's a very important appendage for a running back. So if he does have a dislocated shoulder, that could mean a couple weeks, and if the collarbone got broken, that could mean a couple more weeks. So a big deal there. But the deal is we're super loaded at running back anyway, and Greg McCrae was out as well, so that kind of adds to that. Bentavious Thompson came in, though, as well. When Killens went out, ran 10 times for 89 yards and 2 touchdowns, averaging 8.7, his longest being 34. He had a couple long ones, though. Bentavious is pretty incredible.
Yeah, I think Bentavious, the big thing with him is he's the type of back that Heupel is used to using. I kind of want to throw another stat out there. I mean, over 600 yards, right, total offense, but 385 yards rushing versus 229 passing. I believe that's the first time this season we had more rushing yards than we did passing yards. So when you have the O-line clicking yesterday, the big thing was the O-line. I mean, I was watching those guys, and they were pushing them around. They had big holes that they were opening up. Roche was one of their big defenders for Temple that was supposed to be out. He actually played yesterday. He's the one who tackled, quote-unquote, air quotes, Killens. So they had most of their defensive line intact, and they did a really good job pushing them around.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, yeah, so you mentioned 385 yards in running, total, and then 229 yards passing. Dylan Gabriel, I got to get to his stats here. For some reason, they're not on my page. But he had a pretty good game as well. Yeah, there they are. 10 of 21, 218 yards. 3 touchdowns, his longest pass being 73 yards, only 1 sack, which is really good. No interceptions. I think he played really a good game. He kept his head definitely on the road for the first time, which we haven't had that, as well, obviously. But you said it really good, though. The offensive line played an incredible game. Both lines, honestly, offensive and defensive line, really, really played a great game. So that helps tremendously. Also, we saw Darryl Mack as a quarterback come in for a couple, one series during the first half, and then, in garbage time, which our garbage time in this game wound up being at the end of the third quarter, he came in. So he had only 11 yards passing, but ran for a touchdown and got sacked. I guess they're going to call that one time on the official stats. He was getting thrown down back there, though, and he kept saying to the referees, really? You're going to let him throw me down after the play like this? He was kind of getting manhandled by a couple of guys back there, and you normally don't see a big guy like that get manhandled. So I'm really surprised that they never called that on Temple back there.
Well, I don't think they called a lot on Temple.
Yeah.
There was a lot of holding going on, a horse collar. There was a lot of other things that were going on at the same time, and quite frankly, they were talking about roughing. They were laying on our guys. They were purposely. I mean, you look at AK; he got thrown around like a rag doll again. The last time you saw that was against LSU. This time, he landed very awkwardly on that shoulder, and you saw it throughout the whole.
Yeah, he landed on his elbow, which kind of shoved the shoulder up. So, and then he walked off with one arm hanging a lot lower than the other. So, yeah, definitely. I hope that he can get back because he's just such a threat with the speed, and then returning kicks and all that stuff. So, I hate to see any of these guys get hurt. It is what it is. Things happen in football. Luckily, we're as deep as we are. The other thing about depth, though, is the depth a curse or is it a good thing? It can be a little bit of both because, sometimes people complain about Heupel. Oh, he doesn't have the right people in there. He should have this guy in there. This guy should get more carries. The things that people complain about are endless as far as that goes. But now you see why it is so important to have that depth. When these guys get hurt, are two, top guys, if you want to say that they're the two top guys, I think that they're all pretty much equal, to be honest with you. McCray obviously is the top guy, but we have so much depth. Is it a problem or is it a good thing? Sam, maybe you have something on this?
Yeah, I obviously you can't complain about having probably the best running back room in the country.
Right.
But the problem arises when a guy like Heupel seems to prefer one guy who's not the senior. Obviously, neither Otis nor Greg nor I think Adrian are seniors. I think they're all juniors or redshirt juniors. But it seems that Hype in Hype's system is preferential to a guy like Bentavious Thompson, and you see it last night when he gets a chance to play. Like, I think he's averaging something like 7 yards a carry. The guy, to me, seems like the one that fits the system the most, is the one that's least likely to get hurt because he's the biggest out of all of them, and he has that sort of quick twitch ability that the other. Obviously, no one has AK speed. Like, that guy's probably the fastest guy in the country, but is he really slower than Greg McCray? I don't think he is. And so it's like you said, it's a blessing to have all these guys when AK goes out, when Greg goes out, when a guy like Otis Anderson isn't necessarily playing his best. So you still have a 1-2 punch in Batavius and Otis Anderson, and Tristan Coles didn't look too bad in the fourth either.
Absolutely. People forget about him completely. Killens is a senior, by the way. He is definitely a senior because he came in and played immediately, and then Otis Anderson is a true junior because he came in and played immediately as well. So.
Well, think about it this way too, right? Frost did the same thing when he came in, right? He went and got his guys. He started playing them. So we have Killens for a long time. We have Otis Anderson for a long time. We have all those players for a long time. What we're seeing now, I think, is it's not like Killens was averaging something like 13 yards per carry just in this game alone. And he has continued that process over a long period of time. So it's not like you've got someone who's just failing at the system. Is Bentavious maybe a little better suited for Heupel's system? Yeah, I agree with that. But it's not like we have a reason to move those guys off onto the bench and move Bentavious up.
Yeah,
so.
and I also think for recruiting, you can't bench your guys who like Adrian Killens, who's a senior and going to go to the NFL. If he goes to the league and gets drafted in the third round, that's another thing Heupel can do to be like, hey, you should come here because we play our seniors. They go to the league. They succeed. You should come play for me because I've proven to do that. So you have to do that, and I get it. But at the same time, you also have to win football games. And maybe, I'm not saying start Bentavious, but maybe play him a little bit more.
Yeah, I would love to see him play more. I mean, I'm a huge Greg McCray fan personally, especially last year when he started coming on, and in the early games when he would get a few touches, I just was like, play him, give him the ball 30 times. I just want to see him, play for a while. So, absolutely, yeah, that's a problem though. Having a bunch of guys back there that can all go out there and make people look silly.
We have A5 problems.
Yeah, well, what's A5?
Autonomous 5.
Autonomous 5. Okay,
I don't want to use the other version.
Well, yeah, whatever. It is what it is. Everybody knows the other term, so I hate to not use the other term, but, it is what it is. So, all right, well, we still have a lot to talk about, and we're taking your calls, 844-225-5580, 844-225-5580, or text 21232. We're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back.
It's back. Join us for a round of golf on one of Orlando's most historic golf courses at ESPN 580 Orlando's second annual golf tournament at Dubs Dread, Monday, December 9th. Enjoy a round of golf with some of your favorite former pro athletes and local personalities with ESPN 580 style sports-themed holes and activities. Tee time kicks off at 7 a.m. and best ball wins. ESPN 580 Orlando, the golf tournament, is brought to you by In-Phase Electric, Bic Razors, and Yingling Lager. Register online now at ESPN580Orlando.com.
Oviedo Brewing Company is the hottest microbrewery in Central Florida. Located 7 miles from UCF at the Oviedo Mall, this 8,800 square foot brewery just opened its doors 6 months ago and has already crafted 13 unique beer flavors and counting in their tap room. The tap room contains different styles of beverages, including ciders, wines, and craft sodas. Not only do they have amazing beers, they also have a full kitchen with gourmet pizzas, wings, and tacos. Oviedo Brewing has activities for each day of the week, such as Taco Tuesdays, Trivia Wednesdays, Pizza and Pint on Thursdays, plus live music on Friday and Saturday evening. But the best is Sunday brunch with unlimited beer mimosas. Need a spot for game day? Oviedo Brewing is just the place with their large TVs to catch all the live games. You'll also find Oviedo Brewing at UCF tailgating sampling beers. And OBC support for the Knights doesn't stop there. If you need a spot for UCF away games, come to Oviedo Brewing Company. You can get all the details on their Instagram or Facebook page. Follow them at Oviedo Brewing CO. Download the Untapped app, and you can find out what beers are on tap. The food menu is also available on their website, OviedoBrewingCO.com.
Bam! Napleton has your Ram during Ram Power Days. At Napleton Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, lease your new Ram truck from only $349 a month with only $349 down. Or new Jeep Renegades from only $249 a month with only $249 down. Or you own it from only $19.9. Get to Napleton Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram at Kissimmee and Claremont. Your ride, your way today. All offers plus tax tag $899, dealer fee at $199 processing. For the approved credit, see NapletonCJD.com for full program details.
The home of Monday Night Football is ESPN 580 Orlando. The Miami Dolphins travel to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers for Monday Night Football. Coverage begins at 6 p.m. right here on ESPN 580 and FM 96.5 HD2. Football lives here.
And now, back to Knightline, the morning after, on ESPN 580 Orlando, WDBO. Call now at 844-225-5580 or text at 21232.
All right, this is Andrew Phegley back in the Victory Casino Cruises.com studios, home of the only legal sportsbook in Central Florida on ESPN 580 Orlando. You can call us 844-225-5580 or text us at 21232. Back with Sam Albuquerque and Roger Nightbingle. I am Andrew Phegley, and this is Knightline the morning after. And it's all good, man. We won. We have all kinds of great things to talk about. Just a beautiful win on the road, which we've been needing. I think a complete game, and that's what we were going to talk about when you call, especially the complete game thing. Was it a complete game? Did we finally do what we were capable of doing after everything this year? We got a caller, and we'll listen to him right now. I think it's Andrew from Oviedo.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good. How are you? Thanks for calling.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, I was going to talk about what you mentioned in the first segment about did we play a complete game. I think my thought was offense, yes. Defense, yes. Special teams, no. And it might have been overshadowed because of how much we destroyed Temple and definitely broke their will in the second half. But two things is, number one, the muffed punt. Obviously, luckily they didn't bite us too much. But the second thing is I'm not sure how many catch out of bounds we're going to do. I think we're up to 6 or 7, but it seems to be a reoccurring thing. Just can't seem to kick the thing and give them a touchback. So I'm not sure how many Obarski has kicked this season, but I feel like it's been at least 6. The other thing I'm kind of curious about is the third down play calling. Now, I know Heupel likes to run up the middle, but I'm just surprised he's done it, I think, at least 5-6 times when it's third and long and you give a handoff. I mean, luckily it didn't really bite us too bad. I'm just kind of curious why he kept doing that.
Okay, well, I'm going to address the special teams first. Most people in daily life have not ever tried to catch a ball that has been punted. It's a very hard thing to do if you have. It's an extremely hard thing to do. And you see this in college football and the pro football. You see muffed punt, returns. It happens. Otis Anderson has had a few of them, but I give that a pass because it happens. Unfortunately, it happened when the guy was standing right there and the ball went directly into his hands. Roger, do you have anything to say about that?
Well, I returned punts in high school a little bit, and I can tell you it is a very difficult thing to do because you're trying to gauge how fast people are coming at you, right, to see if you're going to try to return it or you're going to fair catch it. Then you've got to get your head up, locate the ball, especially under the lights. It's very difficult under the lights. You try to catch the ball, and when you catch the ball, you're bringing your head down at the same time, and you've got someone right in your face. So both of those, he had Temple players right in his face. So you're right, Andrew. It is very, very, very difficult to do. We did, I think, try Marlon Williams out there the last couple of times, but Otis is a special talent. Once he gets the ball in his hands and he can go, do you trade a guy
that can catch the ball for a guy
that can just go,
that can take it to the house? That's one of the biggest things. The other thing there is there's so many variables. Like you said, you mentioned a couple of them. The lights and the wind, and certain people put a different spin on the ball. If it's kicked off the side, if it's kicked off the side of your foot, it's different than it kicked off your toe. And that guy was an Australian type punter.
He was doing rugby style punting for sure.
Yeah, so that's just a different thing. As far as the kickoffs out of bounds, Obarski is a new kicker. He has a heck of a leg. Yes, he's had a few that have gone out. I don't know how many. I wish there was a stat on that. I'm not sure if I can find that or not. If somebody can find that, you're more than welcome to text us at 21232 about that, or call in at 844-225-5580. You can do that and talk to us about that as well. I don't know if there's a stat for that. I'm sure that the coaches know. But, yeah, it doesn't hurt us most of the time. Sometimes it will give, it comes out to the 35 most of the time when it goes out like that, I believe, is where it comes out to. I'm not worried about that. That does not worry me. I'd love it to go out the back of the end zone every time. It wasn't even going out the back of the end zone on some of these yesterday, and they were able to return a couple of them, fairly decent, not too great, but it's one of those things. If these are the things that we have to complain about, though, special teams, I would say personally that's a complete game. If we're only complaining about, special teams. The punter, there was no blocked punts. There was no blocked kicks. I think those are the two most important things, to be honest with you. Obviously, the muffed punt went into, made them have a chance to get a touchdown. It was in a bad spot. It was one of those things.
And about special teams, our punter averaged over 48 yards per punt.
He has been one of my biggest surprises, to be honest with you. That was one of the things that I was worried about the most was the punting, because we had such a great punter, we had such a great kicker. Those things are really surprising. Now, Andrew also mentioned, thank you for your call, by the way. I forgot to say that. One of the other things that he talked about was the third down play calling. And I guess if you want to get into that, you do what you can do on third down. Some of those third downs, there was a read option that didn't work out. So, of course, somebody has to run it. It just depends on what the defense is giving you.
So one of those, they actually had the linebackers up on the line, and then they peeled them back. So Dillon was completely fooled by that. If you watch the actual
and the coaching
play,
staff on the sideline that calls in the play when they look over to the sideline was also probably fooled by that sometimes.
Yeah, they
It
had
happens.
everybody up on the line. I mean, it was completely a loaded box, and they were coming after him, and then they peeled back into coverage. So part of that, too, is, again, what he's reading, how many numbers are in the box before the snap, because he can either hand it off, he can keep it, or he can pass the ball. And when you were looking at that particular situation, he was handing the ball off because he felt the house was coming, and he didn't have the play set up to be able to pass it.
There was one at one point as well that somebody texted me during the game about, why would you run the quarterback? It was a designed run, a 3rd and 12 or whatever. It was not a designed run, just so you know, whoever that was that sent me that, just because nothing was there. So it was obviously a pass play. Dillon just took it, and I think that was when he may have gotten sacked on that one. That one may be the one sack. So we're taking your calls, 844-225-5580, or you can text us 21232, and we will be right back here after another little quick break.
Game 5 of the World Series. After dropping 2 straight at home, the Astros respond with 2 straight wins in D.C.
Curveball and a swing and a miss to get him.
Can Houston make it 3 straight and take the series lead? Or will the Nationals move within 1 win of a World Series title? Game 5 of the Astros and Nationals. Tonight beginning at 7 on News 96.5.
Spice up your company with homemade marketing services from Tasty Gravy Creative. Tasty Gravy serves up a menu of budget-friendly marketing, graphic design, and public relations services customized to your specific goals. Co-owned by a UCF graduate, Tasty Gravy can help refresh your brand, strengthen your online presence, or reinforce your company's message. Contact Tasty Gravy for help with your website, social media, marketing, advertising materials, and more. Visit tastygravy.com.
Let's say you have ED, male impotence, or maybe you suffer from PE and can't satisfy your partner. If you have either or both of these embarrassing conditions, Premier Men's Medical Center has the solution. Meet Dr. Schwartz, a specialist in men's health.
If you're experiencing ED or PE, Premier Men's Medical Center offers custom blended medications designed just for you. There's no pain and no surgery. If you have diabetes, high blood pressure, or prostate issues, not a problem. If Viagra, Cialis, or Levitra have let you down, Premier Men's Medical Center has patients lasting 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer. You'll see results on your first visit, guaranteed, or your first visit is free. And best of all, it's affordable.
For a private consultation with our highly skilled physicians, call 407-270-3940. We guarantee that you'll see results on your first visit, or there's no charge for your consult. Call Premier Men's Medical Center now at 407-270-3940. That's 407-270-3940.
Hey, this is Travis Dever, Kai's Real Estate, the Dever team, New Smyrna Beach. Your source for real estate and everything else, New Smyrna Beach. Proud sponsor of Knightline and Knightline Postgame Live. Call me anytime at 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636. Let me show you my hometown, New Smyrna Beach, UCF's favorite beach. Go Knights and charge on.
Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Future Hall of Fame quarterback Drew Brees plans to return for the Saints today against the Cardinals, according to ESPN's Diana Rossini and Ed Werder. Brees has missed the last 5 games, recovering from surgery on a torn thumb ligament. Teddy Bridgewater running the offense. New Orleans went 5-0 in his absence for a couple of reasons, explains ESPN Saints reporter Mike Triplett.
More than usual in the Peyton Brees era, this team is deep and well-rounded and has a run game and an offensive line and a defense that doesn't just rely on Drew Brees in the passing game. And I think the same way they were sort of able to overcome these horrible playoff losses the last 2 years is because they just know they're a really good team and they've got the Super Bowl in their sights.
Mike Triplett on the best week ever. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports Saints running back Alvin Kamara will not play. Cardinals running back David Johnson also out. Packers receiver Devontae Adams not expected to play. Jags receiver Dede Westbrook is expected to play, as is Raiders receiver Tyrell Williams. The Falcons will start quarterback Matt Schaub in place of the injured Matt Ryan. The Astros and Nationals meet in a pivotal Game 5 of the World Series tonight. Houston stormed back from an 0-2 deficit to tie things up at 2 games apiece. Garrett Cole and Max Scherzer, 7 Eastern, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. College football, Alabama quarterback Tua Tagovailoa expected back at practice by the middle of next week. Top-ranked Crimson Tide's got a bye coming up before hosting number 2 LSU on November 9th. Tua had surgery a week ago to repair a high ankle sprain.
Coming up on Monday, the latest from the World Series, and we'll look at the Packers-Chiefs. We'll preview Monday Night Football, and it's trade deadline week. Plus, who won the weekend, and will we punt or play on your team? Can we go Monday, 6 Eastern, ESPN Radio, ESPN 2.
And now, back to Knightline, the morning after, on ESPN 580 Orlando, WDBO. Call now at 844-225-5580 or text at 21232.
All right, this is Andrew Phegley back in the Victory Casino Cruises.com studios, home of the only legal sports book in Central Florida. You can call us 844-225-5580 or text us at 21232, 844-225-5580 or 21232 for the texts. Joining me is Sam Albuquerque and Roger Nightbingle. So one thing that we haven't talked about, we've been talking about finally a true road win, a win 63-21 over Temple, and was it a complete game? One other thing that I want to bring up here that I would love to have people call us and talk about was play calling better. That's one thing. We also want to talk about the defense here a little bit. We cannot not talk enough about Otis Anderson having 205 yards. I think that was a big deal. Did I get a text here? I love Gabriel's arm, but hate that he stares down his throw and stands there like Drew Bledsoe in the pocket. Drew Bledsoe in the pocket. All right, addressing the Drew Bledsoe in the pocket thing, that's one thing that Heupel wants him to do, is to stand in the pocket or to move up in the pocket. We don't really get to see a huge pocket develop around him a lot where he can actually move up in the pocket. But he is more of a pocket passer type of guy. Yes, he does stare down his receivers. Luckily, in this game, it was not a big deal. It has been in the past. He's thrown some interceptions. And I don't know if really any of them were thrown because he was staring down the receiver. I just think a lot of them were just blown plays, to be honest with you.
A couple of them were when he was being hit.
Yeah.
There were others where he just, the play got blown up, he threw the ball, and instead of throwing it away, he threw it where it went. I will say this, a little bit of a difference that people need to remember on this offense versus the previous offense we were running under Frost. There's not as much movement on the line, which means in the past, the linemen themselves were actually moving either towards the left or towards the right or moving up the field and trying to create a secondary line for the running game, etc. You don't have that in this offense. It's more of a traditional offense. So that's a big reason why you're not seeing him move around in the pocket as much as what you would have in Frost's offense.
Right. Also, got a couple more texts here, and we're going to address those real quick. Dealing with special teams, and I love it. I'm glad we didn't fall for the obvious fake punt. Last year they did an obvious fake field goal, so I'm glad we have a short memory. Very good job on reacting to that fake punt. That thing was completely blown up and didn't even have a chance. So that's beautiful. And then another one on special teams. Reacting to special teams comments with some positives. Barnes took the hit in the third quarter field goal that led to an immediate touchdown, and we did a fantastic job with that. Yeah, that worked out really, really well. That we were able to do that. He completed the field goal, but then we still The penalty gave us a first down right there, first and goal. That was a big, big mistake for Temple on special teams. So I think if you want to talk about special teams mistakes, look at Temple and all the mistakes that they made. I know we're not talking about Temple here. I know that this is not a Temple show, but we made far less mistakes on special teams or anywhere else in this game than the other team did, and it shows in the 63-21 win.
And to me, I mean, I feel like we really broke them at that point. When we stopped them for that fake punt, their will was gone. After that, it just felt like our touchdowns were coming in droves, our defense was pinning their ears back, and really I feel like that was a huge turning point in the game where they just gave up.
Yeah, we definitely broke them. For sure. They were broken from, the coming in and definitely in the second half. I think a little bit before that. They were definitely broken. One of the players in his press conference after the game said that he could tell. I think it was Otis Anderson towards the end, but he could tell that they were broken just by the way that their body language and the way that they lined up and stuff. He could just tell. So he knows how to watch that, and he knows that he's going to have a chance to really go because of the way that they, show it in body language.
Well, the sideline reporter on the broadcast was saying that when they were walking by the Temple players after that play, they were questioning the play calling, they were questioning the players, they were questioning each other. So that frustration it kind of got rid of that team atmosphere and that esprit de corps.
Yeah, that's never a good thing when the sideline reporters report on, crazy stuff going on your sideline. I think that's the worst thing that can happen. Speaking of defense, you wanted to talk about the defense a little bit more. I get sometimes enthralled in talking about offensive stuff, and I don't get to the defense enough. And I was a college football defensive player, which is interesting, but I focused so much on what the offense was doing, I think is why, and didn't focus as much on my game because I was defending the offense. So I think that's my reason for doing that. I'm not sure. I'm a big offensive fan as well, though. Aaron Robinson, 2 picks after he got burned
on that first TD. Yeah.
by the ring of fire on that first touchdown, just burned. He 100% gave that one up, but redeemed himself doubly by those 2 picks, and those 2 picks were very important.
Yeah, and I think for me, when we're talking about defense, right, our offense is so quick that we need turnovers for possessions, right? Our time of possession, if you look at our time of possession at the end of the game, it was relatively close, but if you watch it through until you get to the mid-third quarter when we started slowing things down, our time of possession, it was some obscene number. I don't remember exactly what it was, but at that point, we have first downs that we need to do really well on. If we don't do well on first downs, we get to third downs. We haven't done as well on the third down. So what that means is we need more possessions because our series go so quickly. So with A-Rob, and this is why you hear hype talking about this all the time, we need turnovers, we need turnovers, we need turnovers. A-Rob got a couple of those based off of the pressure that was being applied by the defensive line. Both lines this game played extremely well.
They should.
Yeah, and we had four sacks by midway through the third quarter. Kalia Davis. I'm sorry if I messed that up, man. Brendan Hayes, drop our freshman phenom that we got, the local guy. He had one. So, again, that pressure was there all night. A lot of times they were getting home. Sometimes they weren't. But that's what we want to see out of Randy Shannon's defenses, because if we get the pressure, it gets home, then they make mistakes. And if they make mistakes, we get turnovers and we get possessions back for us to be able to score quickly. That is the game plan for the entire game, and we saw it work this game, and we haven't really seen it work that well. So when you're talking about a complete game, it was a complete offensive game and defensive game.
Yeah, the glaring stat, if you're looking at stats, the glaring stat that tells you the story on the defensive side of the ball is 45 yards rushing total by Temple. That's huge.
And when
45 yards.
When they gained over, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago, they're a running team.
Yeah.
And when they gain over 100 yards, they have won 5 games. The 2 games that they've lost is when they've gained less than 100 yards. Our defensive line absolutely swallowed up. And Gilliard, did a great job. He was in the backfield constantly. He plugged up the run game at that middle linebacker spot and was doing an absolutely amazing job.
And we saw our guy that we hadn't seen in quite a while as well, that everybody was wondering. Charlton was finally back there. So that should be,
Didn't see much of Nate Evans, though.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, there are some guys, but everybody was worried about Randy Charlton. So he's with the team. There were so many crazy things that people were thinking about. Sam, you got anything on the defensive side of the ball that you thought was incredible? I mean, the 45 yards rushing is the biggest thing.
Yeah,
to me.
that defensive line was a worry coming into this season, but the way we can just rotate guys in and out and feel competent on the line is very reassuring. Once we lost Bam, I thought Neville Clark was going to get isolated a lot, but the emergence of Aaron Robinson has been solid, and obviously Richie Grant on the back end is probably our most consistent defensive player for the past couple of years. So I was happy with the performance, and I think moving forward, we're not going to have many teams that are going to challenge us offensively like that. So I think this team is as advertised for the remainder of the season.
Absolutely. Well, Richie Grant, that's an interesting thing. He's one of those guys that really showed up last year as well. Had the 6 interceptions on the year. Hasn't had one this year, and I guess one of the commentators said that they had talked to him and he really wanted to get that interception. He's really looking for one. He didn't get it this game, but I mean, he's still playing great back there. And I mean, safety's a big spot. Number 8, Maxwell, was not a good thing on defense this week. A freshman who stepped in a little bit last week when Neville Clark was out. But he was not a really big positive there this week.
Well, the big thing that I saw out of the defensive backs was just open field tackling. There were a couple of plays, both when the quarterback got a little bit loose or when they had thrown a short pass or something like that. And, I mean, literally truck stick, perfect form tackling, weren't missing it, had good angles. Grant had a few that he missed some angles on, but generally speaking, they did a great job with tackling.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, if you're just starting to listen to us for some reason, you got in your car or whatever, this is Knightline the morning after, and I'm Andrew Phegley. I'm here with Roger and Sam Albuquerque. You can call us 844-225-5580 or text us at 21232. We're talking about our beloved Knights, talking directly to Knight Nation, and we'd love to talk to you. Also, I wanted to talk about a little bit. Gabe Davis did not show up very well in this game. Didn't have a touchdown, which was pretty incredible for him. Had some catches, obviously, but I think he was covered really well on that side. I think that people are really starting to pay attention to Gabe Davis. I know that he was double-teamed quite a few times. Roger, you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, I was just going to say he still led the team in receiving yards. So
right.
He had 83 yards. He was targeted 9 times. He only caught 3 balls. So that speaks to the double coverage, which even if he's having that effect and he's not catching the ball, he's opening up the other side of the field because you can't be everywhere at once, right? So they were definitely very aware of him. 27.7 yards per catch. No TDs this week. But he still was a factor on the field.
Yeah, I mean, he's always a factor, but I'm just saying he wasn't nearly as much of a factor as he normally is. So they schemed well to take him out of the game. So
it's pick your poison, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They didn't scheme well to stop the run, but they schemed very well to stop Gabe Davis.
And it opens the door for when they take people out of the middle, then we start attacking the middle. You've got Marlon Davis there, or wow.
It's all right.
Marlon Williams there, and you've got the other side of the field that opened up. So Trey, this is his big opportunity to ball out a little bit, but the big thing was it opened up the middle of the field because when the safety or the defensive backs are leaning towards one half of the field, that means that there's going to be somebody open on the other side. So as long as Dylan can recognize that.
I'm going to say this, and I'm probably going to get some flack for this. Trey Nixon sometimes could put a little bit more effort out on the field in certain situations. There are times where there's catchable balls that he does not give it the extra little bit to catch balls. Yes, he's great in the end zone as far as catching stuff, but there are some times, and that's all that I'll really say about that. We're going to take a break here real quick, and we'll be right back on Knightline the morning after.
The home of the NFL is ESPN 580 Orlando. Yes! Another triple header Sunday. The LA Chargers travel to Chicago to take on the Bears. Then at 4 p.m., the Oakland Raiders have a big test against the Houston Texans. It all wraps up with Sunday Night Football when the Green Bay Packers take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Right here on ESPN 580 and FM 96.5 HD2. Football lives here.
Island H2O Live, a new wave of water park.
Experience the next generation of fun at Island H2O Live. You choose the music, you choose the lighting, and you choose where to share your memorable moments at Florida's newest and most immersive water park.
Island H2O Live.
Now open in Kissimmee, located off US 192 and State Road 429 on Inspiration Boulevard.
Island H2O Live.
Prescription products require an online physician consultation and are only available if the physician determines a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Hey guys, good news. The outrageously expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means you can get the prescription medication to treat ED at affordable prices. And Hims makes it extra affordable. You pay just $30 for a month's supply. And right now, get your first online doctor's visit totally free when you go to forhims.com/real. That's right, free, zero copay, no expensive appointments, no awkward face-to-face conversations to get your prescription. Hims connects you to doctors online who can evaluate you and, if appropriate, prescribe your ED medication. And a pharmacy sends it right to your door. Hims makes it affordable, private, and incredibly easy. Nobody likes dealing with ED. Now, thanks to Hims, nobody has to. And that's really good news. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/real. That's forhims.com/real for your free online visit. forhims.com/real.
You've heard us talk about the great food at our good friend Kyle Israel's restaurant, The Little Greek Fresh Grill. The Little Greek now has franchises available. Please call 407-697-2272. That's 407-697-2272 to see what The Little Greek can do for you. Also check out The Little Greek's newest location at 3131 Daniels Road, Suite 104, Winter Garden, Florida. The Little Greek Fresh Grill. Fresh, flavorful, fabulous.
Coming up on Monday, the latest from the World Series, and we'll look at the Packers Chiefs. We'll preview Monday Night Football, and it's trade deadline week. Plus, who won the weekend, and will we punt or play on your team? Go Look and Wingo Monday, beginning at 6 on your Alexa smart speaker. Just say play ESPN 580 Orlando.
And now, back to Knightline, the morning after, on ESPN 580 Orlando, WDBO. Call now at 844-225-5580 or text at 21232.
All right, Andrew Phegley, Sam, and Roger, a.k.a. Night Bengal, back here in the Victory Casino Cruises.com cruise studios. Let me do that over again. In the Victory Casino Cruises.com studios, home of the only legal sports book in Central Florida. This is Knightline the morning after, and we are talking about a UCF road win, 63-21 over Temple. You can call us 844-225-5580 or text us at 21232. One of the things that I want to go back and talk about that we talked about a little bit earlier was Otis Anderson, 205 yards. Anderson rushed for a career-high 205 yards and a score and marked the first 200-yard game for Knight Nation since McCray ran for 206th in the American Athletic Conference Championship last season. A really, really big deal. I want to play a clip real quick here about that.
It wasn't just me. O-line did great tonight.
Yeah, what about your O-line? Talk more about what they were able to do.
They were playing a lot faster, honestly. I think that this game plan probably allowed them to think less and play more. They played a lot faster. They were getting to the second level before I got to even blink, so that was allowing me to press where I needed to press and play games with linebackers.
There is nothing more that I love than to hear a player, after he's had the game of his life, talk about who helped him do that, and not talk about himself, but talk about the offensive line. If it was not for the offensive line and the damage that they were doing up there, this would have never happened for Otis Anderson.
100% agree with that. And, it speaks to, again, that team camaraderie and keeping everybody close as a team. You heard Temple fall apart. Our guys were together, and that's something that's kind of been a theme for them throughout the last 3 years, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So, great offensive line play, great defensive line play. The great offensive line play led to Otis Anderson 205 yards and a bunch of rushing yards from our running back stable, I will call it, because we have a ton of them. So, incredible stuff as far as that goes. Also, there was a bunch of stuff going on in the AAC besides UCF and Temple. So let's hear what Jeff Allen, that does the AAC report on the Knightline Sports Network, let's hear what he has to say about the rest of the league's action.
Time now to take a look around the rest of the AAC. From Thursday, 16th-ranked SMU outlasted Houston 34-31 as Xavier Jones rushed for 133 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 62-yard scamper for 6. SMU is 8-0 for the first time since 1982 and 4-0 in conference. Houston falls to 3-5 and 1-3 in conference. Bijan Nichols kicked a 48-yard field goal as time expired yesterday to lift Navy over Tulane 41-28. Navy now 6-1 overall and 4-1 in conference play to stay a half game back of SMU. Tulane falls to 5-3 and 2-2 in the conference. South Florida rolled over East Carolina 45-20. Jordan Cronkite rushed for 129 yards and 2 TDs. The Bulls even their record at 4-4, 2-2 in the conference. East Carolina 3-5 and now 0-4 in conference. Kevin Mensah ran for 164 yards and a career-high 5 touchdowns as UConn went out of conference to get their second win of the year, 56-35 over UMass. And Memphis holds on to beat Tulsa 42-41. Kenneth Gainwell, who had 149 yards rushing, scored his third touchdown with 4:29 left in the game to put the Tigers on top. The Gold Hurricane had a chance to win, but Jacob Rainey missed a 29-yard field goal as the clock ran out. I'm Jeff Allen. I'll have a full recap of Week 9 and a preview of Week 10, including our Spotlight Game of the Week. Big doings in the West as SMU takes on Memphis in that division showdown, as well as my Nicholsworth on UCF 63-21 romp over Temple because 2 cents is not enough. All that and more on this week's AAC report only on the Knightline Sports Network.
All right, thank you, Jeff Allen. This is Knightline, the morning after. By the way, you can call us 844-225-5580 or text us at 21232. Roger, you wanted to bring up, I believe, just to talk a little bit more about the play calling, right?
Yeah, just to tie it all together, I think this was a good representation of when the coaching staff, because you heard Heupel talk about it a little bit last week, where the coaching staff may have had a miss. The coaching staff did well. The offensive players did well. The defensive players did well. And by and large, the special teams did as well. We really utilize, I feel like you're seeing Heupel learn a little bit. We're utilizing different parts of the field, and this week we used 5 different parts of the field on offense, where before we were using 2. So leveraging the middle of the field, utilizing some different players. Marlon Williams is a big guy that can catch, and he's got great hands. We slipped a tight end out. We had Dylan Gabriel run up the middle 4 times, and we were using the outside as well. So I think collectively, the coaching staff, the team, offensively, is coming together and starting to put all the pieces together.
Well, you would expect that. We still keep talking about how Heupel is a second-year head coach, and you expect him to have to learn a little bit about something. It's also what the defense gives us. What we're able to do as far as using all those parts of the field.
Well, it's like we talked about a couple weeks ago. Cincinnati, right? They play that different base defense that what we weren't used to because we had never seen it before from them. So, again, this was more of a traditional defense. He was able to game plan. He came out of the half. We didn't have any let off on the offense at all.
Absolutely. All right, well, not a lot of negative things to talk about this week, which is really,
when you put
really
up
good.
63 points, I mean, what is negative?
Yeah, there's not a lot. 63-21 win over Temple. Yeah, so I love that we don't have to talk about too much negative stuff. I got one little quick one real quick, the Twittiot of the week. It didn't happen on Twitter, by the way. It happened in the stadium, and I don't know if a lot of people saw this, but it was a Boise State fan wearing a Boise State shirt or a jersey. I think it was a shirt, talking, some smack to our players as they were exiting the field. That's not really a good thing. We get Boise State coming up here in a couple of years or next year or whatever.
Maybe it's drumming up the rivalry.
Yeah, I mean, it can be for sure. But that is the Twittiot of the week. Hey, this has been Knightline, the morning after. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, callers. Thank you, texters. We'll see you next week right here on ESPN 580 Orlando.